Well, yeah. Hey guys, we're back over here with part two. We've gone through our technical difficulties. We were talking about awesome and not so awesome, right? And the other awesome part that we've got to discuss is the confrontation between Naomi and Drummer. Some of the
Yeah.
most brilliant acting I've seen in television this year. Karji, she didn't hit it out of the ballpark. She hit it through the gate into another planet on through the through another gate. It was incredible. What do you think, Matt?
She was fantastic. You could, everything she did for that role. Yeah, she really, it just, you felt it. It was really good scene.
And the
Yeah.
emotion between the two women, it was extraordinary because it's a very deep friendship. That Drummer, there's more on Drummer's side than on Naomi's side. But Naomi's it's always been very honest, that it's always been holding. She's never played her. She's, we've seen it all the way through, but we know that there's tremendous emotion there. And then in Drummer having lost two of her crew members and her family, it just all of a sudden everything fell on top of her. And the emotion, we felt that emotion. The complexity of her performance, even the so-called stoic face, we still felt her, all that emotion, and just no choices, death or what she considered to be a slave almost, if you will, to the inners, right? So.
And also it touched on, I feel like that was kind of one of the sub themes of this episode was, who are we fighting for? And that was at least one or two other instances with, what was it with Bobby and Amos, where they had that, what are we fighting for? And, she came back with, we're fighting for the people next to us. And that's basically the family thing that Drummer was, and Naomi were talking about. So that was kind of the theme of that.
It goes back to the title, Why We Fight, right? It's the title of this. And the wonderful part about it, it goes back to tribes. The bottom line is that she talked about, the greater, so-called greater concepts of nation and world and all these other things. She says, an honor, well, all that stuff's gone out the window. So you have to go back down to the basic sort of unit again, which is the tribe and those people who have your back. And again, we go back to this idea of tribes, which it always goes back to the basic component, and then you build from that component up. And that was it was an extraordinary exchange between Bobby and Amos. And Amos had that moment of epiphany, right? When he heard what she said, he reminded him of that discussion he had with Peaches back on Earth about tribes.
Exactly. And that was a neat moment there where, in just like a 10-second scene, he starts off with, I don't know if I'm coming back to the ship. And they have their conversation about who they're fighting for. And at the end, she's like, so going back to the ship? It's like, yeah. Of course, after he goes to the brothel.
Yeah. The important stuff first, right?
You got to, yeah.
But this also goes back, and we have foreshadowing, and then we have, reminding us what happened previously. And so remember when he was wandering through the station after getting all drunk, and was it Tycho? I can't remember which station it was, but he was wandering through drunk after that kid hit him because he said, don't hurt my mother. And then that brought back all of his memories, of his childhood on Earth. And so he was doing his kind of wandering drunken whoring thing again. And it's interesting that we have the post, was it pre-shadowing or something? I'm not sure what you would call that. And then
foreshadowing. Also, just the fact that he had glitter all over him.
but that's, what Amos, as he pointed out, he wasn't always a mechanic in space. So
exactly.
So it's just something to remember about him. But I think, we had all these moments of epiphany for everybody. Philip had his moment of epiphany too. Okay. Just when he learned that Tadeo had set the explosions that had killed his own brother, then he realized what his father had done, and his father did another lie telling Tadeo that, oh, no belters will be killed.
No one will get hurt. Yeah, no belters.
Well, how do you do that? Now, there's a way to do this, by the way. And remember, we talked about this last week.
Right, let them know.
We talked about the what's happening in Britain, years ago, right? And what happens is the terrorists would call in and tell them where the bomb was going to be. And what they could have done is they could have told all the belters that there were bombs there and to stay away from that location. They didn't do it.
No, because they didn't care.
They didn't care. That's the whole point.
Or Marco didn't care. Tadeo obviously does now.
But he just, he was so sure they were just killing belters. I mean, not the belters, but the inners.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, you see this. It's not the first time we've seen it, and it's not the last time we're going to see it in our lifetimes. We're these people lie about what they're doing, and innocent people wind up getting, killed because of the lies.
There was a lot of crying in this episode.
Oh my God. And it was, but they earned it. It was organic. They earned it. I mean, they really did. And,
that scene with Philip and Tadeo was great,
Oh, it was heartbreaking because Philip finally found a friend. And then he felt his pain because he understood all these decisions that were made were just really, really, really bad decisions.
So that's setting something up, I think. Because you got Marco there, who was just showing the video of his son giving that little speech about this is war and all. And he's like about to feel more pride with his son. But his son is starting to realize that his father is a heartless bastard and will lie about everything. So, and someone from the other ship disabled the warhead. So that's probably in his mind his mother. So he's getting all conflicted there. While his father is like, oh, I'm more proud of him now. Something's going to happen with that. There's going to be a face-off there. There's got to be.
I think there's a lot going to. The last episode, remember, is more than an hour long with no commercials. Okay, so if it were on network television, it would be an hour and a half with all the commercials. So they wrap it up. There's a lot of things that happen in that final episode. And I will say this, because we're doing awesome and not so awesome. I would say not so awesome is. There's so much more that we wanted to see, to set up all the things that are going on, because it's like the meeting, with Drummer at the end, the meeting between Avasarala and Drummer. Now, why did she decide to meet Drummer there? Well, I would venture that there was a huge discussion behind the scenes between her, Holden, and Naomi about it. And her deciding that she had to go meet Drummer because it was better for optics. It was better for everything else. Her staff would be screaming at her not to do it. And the security staff would be like foaming at the mouth. But she would decide that this is the way it has to be. So
I would like with that comment from Drummer is like, I didn't think you'd get off your ship.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I wanted to see that discussion behind the scenes. As Naomi talked to her and was angry with her that she had to be the go-between, but at the same time she's realizing that it's their only option going forward. And I just wanted to see that because that dialogue would have been so good, so excellent.
I've got something for the not so awesome. This might be one of the first times I've got something for the not so awesome, but it's just something I was thinking about, and I mentioned it to you earlier today. So we've got all the stuff on the opens in Laconia, and it's setting up something for. I mean, we know this is the last season of The Expanse, and I feel like the Laconia stuff is setting up. It's setting up for what would be the next season to play out, and I feel like we're using that time that we could get more here for something that's a setup for a season that's not going to happen, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense, and I've said this from the beginning. I said this, but I think I said this in the first episode that we had that I thought it was a kind of a jerk thing to do. Okay, I'll just flat out say it. I think Narain is brilliant. I think all the writers on the show are brilliant. For them to kind of poke at us, and I call it poking. and I by the way, I've said this to Narain before, how he pokes at us, okay? with different things. This is a major poke at us because this is the perfect setup for the last 3 books in what could have been the last 3 seasons. Okay, it's absolutely perfect. Especially when you see this final episode, you will think, how dare you not do more?
Right.
I mean, seriously. Yeah.
And I feel like, again, they're setting us up for something. They're using space, using time that we only have 6 episodes, so time is short to get a lot in 6 episodes, for setting up something that we're most likely not going to see play out.
Well, and also too, in terms of cost, remember you have a Laconia set, you have the Laconia actors. So if we just concentrated on the belters and the inners, we would have those sets already. We already had those actors, so you would have to pay those extra actors from to do Strange Dogs. So it becomes even odder and more problematic. I'd say. When you
So, yeah, that's the only thing. That's I think my first not so awesome for this season so far was just, I feel like they're using time there that they could be telling the main story to set something up that we'll never see, and that's I just find that mildly infuriating. It's like, I want more. You don't need to tease me with more, but we're not going to get more unless we're going to get more somehow, somewhere, if another network picks it up or whatever. But yeah. So anyway.
Well, I honestly, looking ahead, I don't think for a second we're going to have any more seasons. I don't. I don't think that they'd be. I don't. Honestly, I don't. I don't think they jerk around our chains like that. So
I don't think they could shop it around and try and get picked up somewhere else or get a movie.
I don't. All I'm saying is this, and this is all I'm going to say. I don't think we're going to get any more seasons. That's all I'm going to say.
So I would be happy if they came back in a year with a 2.5-hour movie on Amazon. You know what I mean? A direct to Amazon 2-hour movie to do the 20 years later in the books type thing, just a follow on or something, because there's so much more to tell there.
I'll only say this. I don't think they're going to be. I truly don't believe there are any more seasons. There are 3 books left. The Alcon owns the IP. Alcon, I think, is finally beginning to realize what a gold mine they actually have, and I mean, we just have to take a wait and see attitude.
Okay.
Because the only reason I say that is because they have not asked the fans to marshal their forces to start another campaign, because they know we do it in a heartbeat. But I mean, just like, I would start writing the articles, donate the money, fly another flag, send stuff into space, talk to NASA. Because remember, this reminds me, NASA actually, in one of their Twitter announcements, use Belta language. Yes, Belta lengua. They used it. So we have we know
there are fans there.
Yes. So my feeling is, if they wanted to mobilize the fans have been ready to do it. We've got all these different groups. We've got fans around the world that are ready to step up to the plate. But they've asked us to kind of just take a wait and see attitude, and so I think that's a smart thing to do. Now, having said that, looking ahead to the final episode, everyone, I keep saying this, please watch every episode twice. Do not go into that last episode having only seen each episode once. There's so much going to happen in that last episode. There's so much happening. That hour and 15 minutes flies along. You think it feels like 15 minutes because there's so much going on. So please rewatch every episode twice, because the answer is, because remember, you asked that excellent question earlier in part 1. So that question gets answered in a bit more, but you have to be paying really close attention.
Okay.
Because and it's just that I can't talk about it, but I would say you're going to need to watch it 3 times to catch everything. That final episode 3 times. So it drops late Thursday night. stay up late, get a cup of coffee, watch it one time just to enjoy it, and then watch that second time to catch all the things, and then watch it the third time to click and stop at certain things and make little notes to yourself, because it honestly is just that dense. It's that good. The acting, the writing, everything about it, in the excitement. There are some scenes.
More great space battles, hopefully.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait until you see this one. Okay. Just wait. It is so, I think people are going to replay it like 3 or 4 times to catch everything. There's so much going on.
Awesome.
But having said that, 6 episodes, hell, it's still 10 episodes, and it's still, that last episode would still be exciting. They could still do an hour. Even after doing 10 episodes, they could still do an hour and a half on that last episode. So looking ahead, again, like you said, and I totally agree with you, the fact that we have the Strange Dogs and Laconia stuff, they gave us Narain Shankar. People need to remember one thing. Narain is a brilliant person. The man has 2 PhDs. He went to college when he was 16 years old to Cornell. He's a brilliant man. Listen to what he says and what he doesn't say. Because he does not lie, but he doesn't, he's on that edge, that razor edge. He's on that nanometer edge, and he walks that line so close. Okay, I'm just that's just my thought. Okay, I'm just saying this. So but listen to exactly what he says, because he speaks incredibly precisely.
All right, that makes sense. No lines are wasted with him.
No. And as for Stuck the Landing, oh my God. They burrowed it. They stuck the landing. They flattened the earth out there, because that landing. It just this episode it's incredibly powerful. Let's compare it to something that there was a show that was on HBO. We won't name it because it doesn't deserve to be named anymore. But their final season, that was such absolute worthless time to be spent that we can't get back in our lives. This one is so excellent that as a penultimate episode, my God, it's setting us up. It's setting us up for a wonderful, wonderful, exciting finale. And
everything in this episode was, in my opinion, was like pretty much 2-person scenes. Avazral and Drummer and Naomi. Amos and Bobby. It was all like, this was the emotional vehicle for next episode, the emotional setup, if that makes sense. And everything was, again, Tadeo and Philip, Marco and the lady, I can never remember her name.
I forget her name too. But she's such a great, because her name is such, it's Rosenfeld or something like that. It's horrible, but every time I look up her name too. But the woman who plays her is a brilliant actor. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, she's perfect, isn't she?
Yes, she is, and I feel bad because I never remember her name.
Well, I can remember her real name, but her character name, it's like it's such an odd. It seems atypical name for a woman. First of all, but it's a very typical Belter name, So it's like, that's why I think our brains are because we're so earther. We think earther, and she's not an earther. She's a Belter. Okay. So that's, I think that's part of the problem. And so I think we got to leave ourselves little notes to write down her name.
Put that in the document.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, I felt like this, Stuck the Landing is definitely this episode was the emotional buildup to lead you into the finale. And even as an emotional build episode, which is usually slower, it was still just chock full of stuff. So yeah, definitely Stuck the Landing, 100%.
Oh yeah. And yeah, I won't say anymore, but it's just next, but please, again, I know I said this many times and I apologize, but please rewatch this episode before the next one. Because I've watched it twice, and I caught things the second time around that I missed the first time.
See, I'll probably do that Friday. I'll do this one and then the finale.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because what's going to happen is when you see that there are parts you're going to stop and replay. I'm telling you now, just you're going to do it. There are some it's the stuff that we live for. There's some things we just live for, and they're going to give it to us. Okay, they're going to give it to us, and it's just it's good. I think it's just real quick. It was good seeing Elvie again, the scientist from Illis, who helped Holden kind of like deal with that alien construct, and that on Illis, and that Miller helped him deal with too. It was good to see all the cameos. And normally, if we'd had 10 episodes, they would have had more than cameos.
Mm-hmm.
Because Anna and Prax, they would have played a bigger part if we'd had 10 episodes.
Right.
So, and LB too, for that matter. So, and then we would have seen her husband, because LB's important, and so's her husband. Okay. I'm just telling you this. I'm just saying they're important. I'll leave it alone. But they're very well. No, I won't. They're very, very important. Okay. LV.
It's funny. I actually didn't even catch that was her the first when I watched it.
But see, that's my point about watching it twice, because there's so much going on. There is so much happening, and she has that discussion with Naomi, which is a very, very technical discussion about what's actually happening with those ships going through space and what they're figuring out. And I think we kind of went over this a little bit too quickly, but the creatures that destroyed the original builders of the thing, they're kind of sitting there, and they're not happy when people go through the rings. And so they're starting to react when they react at a certain point. And we find out that they react at a certain point.
It's mass.
A certain number of ships go through. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is, again, an important, super important point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I always say. There's so much going on. There was so much happening in that episode. It's so incredibly dense. And this is something that both Ty and Daniel, and I actually told Daniel this at some point. He got a little mad at me until I explained what I meant. But I said to him, his writing is very dense. And it means it's dense in the sense that there's so many layers. It's so much going on there. You have to stop and just read it very slowly, because there's more happening than just what seems to be happening.
Right.
And the writing is so perfect. There was a scene he wrote about a character, and he just woken up after doing certain things with a beautiful woman. He woken up, and it was in a desert, and he went outside, and he described the sweat on his body. And as he described it, you felt it. You felt that as he made plans for the future, you felt that desert heat. And he was just standing there trying to cool down from it. And the writing was so perfect, you feel it. And this is what's true with this episode. It is so dense. There's so much going on. You really have to take your time with it and enjoy it.
Agreed.
And that's what's great about this whole thing. That first season, I think some of those episodes I watched 5 times, to figure out everything that was going on. And now people are beginning to see, as they look back, it's like the first season when Avasarala's on the roof with her grandson, and he says, "I don't want rocks thrown at me." That was in the first season, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
hint.
Yeah. So the foreshadowing, and Lorraine loves doing foreshadowing, and I think Ty and Daniel like looking back and bringing all those thoughts forward, and to say that these things haven't changed. This is a reminder of where we are and what we're doing. So that's just my thought. So I think we're pretty close to
wrapping it up.
Don't you think so?
I think so. I think we've touched on just about everything we wanted to touch about today.
Okay. Was there anything else that you were thinking about? Any of the characters, or any of those points that we might have missed? Because I think we discussed all of those.
I think we hit everything.
And I know I keep harping on that thing, but I'm telling everybody, you'll appreciate that much more, especially leading to that last one. Matt, I'm gonna write down something on one of the sheets here, and promise me you won't look at it till you look at that final episode. But I
won't
put
look
down,
at the document till after Friday.
I'm gonna tell you there's a part that you're gonna watch twice, and okay. I'm gonna tell you what that part is, okay? But you gotta promise not to look until then, okay? But
I won't look. I
okay.
promise.
But yeah, so Matt, where can we find you?
You can find me at Twitter at Big Matty Nasty, as it says right along the bottom there. It's a goofy name, but that's where I'm at. So yeah, hit me up and see if you agree or disagree with me, or tell me I'm wrong, or tell me I'm right. Whatever. Come and say hi. And of course, on Movers and Shakers Unlimited.
Well, thank you. And then I'm Michael Pea. I can be found at Michael Pea on Twitter. And then I can be found at all of the, the three major Expanse groups on Facebook. And I can be found on Facebook too, as well as on Friends of Comic-Con. That's where I write. And you can see some of my articles there about, some of this Expanse stuff, and maybe even a set visit there too. And of course, all of us are here at Movers and Shakers Unlimited, and we want to thank our producer, Brandon Troy, for his excellent work. Hey, Brandon, just saying hi there. And we're going to wish you a farewell. And everyone, the Ultimate episode next week, it is all right. Please hit us up on Twitter and everything else after you watch it. Let us know if his justice is fantastic, as I've been telling you, and let me know if you've watched certain scenes twice. Okay,
we'll do.
Because I just think it's fabulous. I just think it's incredible, absolutely incredible.
All right, so, until next week.
Adios.
Same time, same place. Bye, folks.